we started off yesterday discussing some of the finer details on the armbar. We specifically looking at breaking the grips, control points. Looking back, I always try to look back, especially at the videos when we get them posted to the social media and then get them posted on YouTube, and figure out kind of where I may have glossed over some of the finer points. One of them being foot placement. Looking back, I think I just kind of automatically assumed that we understand the differences between where we place that control foot and how that applies. So what I did not show was kind of where we're placing the foot. Let me borrow you guys. Come here. So left foot or right foot, depending on which way you're looking. Okay, the head side foot, the foot that's closest to the head. We have to be careful where we place this, and we have to understand what its operation is. So yesterday we were kind of starting off with the foot underneath the head because that's helping facilitate an escape. Okay, so we're not doing that today. We're gonna talk about the placement of this foot, why we want it in certain positions. So your standard armbar position is going to be with the foot over the top of the head. Okay, now this does a couple things for you. All right. This functions entirely to keep the head pinned. So this is where you get into the situation of now you're keeping the leg down. He can't lift his head up off of the mat. He can't come up and stack. It's really, really difficult. But we run into some issues with controlling the hips. Because this foot is so far up here on the top, we're controlling this particular part of the body. Literally from wherever his elbow line is, controlling up there the head. That's what we're controlling. But we're not controlling any of this. All right, we have various leg placements that we can use, and it all depends on what our opponent is doing. All right, they're always going to lock their hands. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. But where they put their hips, where they move themselves, is all going to be in relation to how we've set up our leg control. Now, I told you yesterday my preference was to come on this side of the head, or this side of the armpit for my legs. Okay, I despise that running man escape. I hate it. It's just one of the things that I've grown to hate. Some guys that I trained with years ago hit me with that so many times, and I wound up working face down arm bars, which we'll cover that later on. They're fantastic, but I always managed to lose control when it came to having the foot over the head this way, because they would bring this hand and it would place, and then he's going to run himself out and he comes right back up. Okay, so I wound up having to deal with that a lot, and I can't stand that. So I started to work my foot on this side of the body. Now, because we're here, I found myself wanting to lay toward the head, and what is that, or lay toward the foot, and what is that doing to his head as I lay across? It's lifting his head up, okay? So I become really, really good at the second that I lay this way, catching this leg here, because this now limits his ability to come all the way up. If I'm pulling up on this leg, he can't pull up and stack me, and that's what I really want to deal with. I don't want him coming up on me and stacking me like this, so I can push down and put the pressure against the arms. Okay. Now, this escape that I hate too, there was another one that I really, really hate, and I never was very good at defending it. And it's when they take the backside of the palms, and they're going to X-grip their hands, but they take the backside of the palms and they shear the leg off the head, and then they start shoulder walking up on the leg and pinning it. That's probably one of my most annoying, simply because it leaves me with so few options. Okay, so I always wanted to deal with that. I hated that. So I would rock my foot on this side. Now, some of you guys were running into a couple issues yesterday. We were doing this. You was laying to the right and he was coming up, but you were also allowing your knee to cross your body. When I lay down toward the legs and he's starting to come up, I flare my leg down. Okay, and put it right across the face so that he's not as inclined to come straight up. All right. Once you flare your leg, you wind up getting into a little bit better position. Okay. With the leg over the head, we got some options with the support foot, what we can do with it. It doesn't have to ride across right here. We can go to the Japanese styles of arm bars. Okay, so when I put the leg over the head, I can bring this foot in behind, and I can make all these adjustments on the fly. So what we're going to do is we're going to work through all the various adjustments while our partner just lays here and deals with this, okay? So we're going to start off with the foot underneath the head. This is going to be sort of how it gives you a feeling of what it feels like for them to comb the leg off of the head and start to shoulder walk up. From this Kimura trap position, leg's going to come over the head. I'm going to spike down and curl, okay? I'm going to lay to the head. It's going to suck. We're going to mash a little bit there. Now we're gonna lay to this side, and I'm gonna push the leg down so that he's not inclined to come up. If I bring my leg high, he just comes straight up. Okay? So spike the foot down when you lay down this way. Then we're gonna come back up, all right? We're gonna curl in like I told you yesterday. This foot is now gonna cross on this side. And we're gonna curl back inside. Then we're gonna come to the Japanese style with the foot in the armpit and not over the top of the head. Now we're gonna lay this direction. We're gonna lay this direction. Every time we're gonna lean to a direction, simulating which way our opponent may take us so we get used to feeling how it feels to be off balance and sent to one side or the other. All right? Then the foot's gonna come back over the top. We're gonna come back in here. We're gonna lay left and we're gonna lay right again in your standard armbar position. And then we're gonna come to the Japanese style with the leg over the head when we finish. And we're gonna lay to the right, lay to the left. Whoops. You got it? So we're gonna start here, foot underneath. Okay, over the top. Kimura trap, lay right, lay left. Curl, here, right, left. Japanese, right, left. Foot back over the top, right, left. Japanese, right, left. Whoops. Let's get it. 1, 2, 3. Breaking down the grips, breaking down the defenses, okay? You're always pretty much going to run into the X grip, not the chain grip. If they're doing the chain grip, they're stupid. I shouldn't say that. There's probably some ultra high level black belt somewhere going, I'll kick his ass. That'd be my group. Some guys that does chain grip. What I mean by chain grip is this is their preferred grip, and there's some sort of a phenom anti-human or something. I don't know, but for the most part, you're going to run into the X grip. That's the strongest grip traditionally. Now, everybody get over here so you can see this. This is very important, and this is confusing a little bit. We'll see who has right from left capabilities. All the females in the room are going to fail. I'm telling you right now. They're all going to fail. Right from left there. They're all going to fail. Dudes generally do better with this. So now, everybody was asked, it doesn't matter which side we're locking up the Kimura grip on. It doesn't matter. I have grown to love the Kimura grip when it comes to setting up and finishing arm bars. You have a couple ways you can try to work for your control right before you're finished. Okay, we're worrying about stages here. We've got control, then we got the finish. For demonstration purposes, I'm just getting my leg under here. It would normally be over the head. So we got to start deconstructing this and break it down. There's two different ways. A lot of people, they'll try to catch the arm like this. Now, you make some really, really big mistakes when you go shallow on your insertion right here and you grab. You have zero control over the elbow. He gets his hips away from you a little bit. Now the elbow gets snaked out and you're done. So what we have to do is we have to maintain a relationship here between the groin and the shoulder. That's the most important thing, okay? So when you start to feel like they're starting to scoot away, one thing that I'll do is I'll hold here, because this doesn't really matter if I'm just holding. However, I've just got to keep anchored to him in some form or fashion, and I'll grab the head and I'll start working to get back up underneath the armpit. So at a higher level, a lot of times you see a lot of work going on right here. There's a lot of stuff happening. It's very rarely going to be just that boom, kick over, and it's done, and it's that fast. Okay, because defenses get just as good at this level as the finishes get, okay? So as long as we have a good relationship between the groin and the shoulder, we're going to be pretty good. We want to stay as high up under. Ideally, I would like for him to be kind of up on his side a little bit, and we're like this to where this elbow's way up here in the middle of my chest, but rarely does that ever happen. Where most of us are going to make our mistake is we're going to get a shallow insertion right here, and we're going to be holding like this. This is shallow. So we want to be higher up on the armpit, okay, or on the arm, the bend of the arm, and I want to try to be elbow to elbow right here. I want to make this diamond right here, this triangle here. All right, and then I want to come over the top, and I want to grab my own bicep, and I'm going to grab the forearm. This has way better control because I'm controlling it at numerous places instead of going like this and holding. I've lost way more arm bars doing this than I ever have controlling here, because we've got some leverage control here. We can push down and we can pull up. Now, another little set I want you guys to understand. We're going to shoot through here. We're going to lock, and we're going to get to the Kimura grip, and then something we're going to do that's kind of an X factor and most people don't think about is we're going to push down and we're going to pull up. Why did I just do that?
Because that's how you finish Kimuras.
Takes the slack out, right? It lifts that shoulder up and it places him right where he's supposed to be. So let's just say for the sake of argument, I'm here, and I got in here and I got this Kimura grip, but he kind of got a 3/4 escape. His elbow got kind of down low and he's right here, right? Should I bail on it right now? Well, no, because the elbow line is still above the middle of the groin. What I can do is I can push down and I can lift up, and that helps to reset everything back. Because I have so many points of control on this guy. So stitch him up, slide him up, bring him in tight. Okay, now we got to start looking at the grip and what grip that he's using. We have several ways. My favorite ways to break this. My first one that I like to do, because I have to release the Kimura grip anyway. So my first thing that I always do is I'll always stretch first and get him super tight and get him elevated and high before I let go of this and start working to break this grip. Imagine it like they're clapping their hands and you're gonna have your partner, because it's confusing at first. And remember, it doesn't matter which hand goes through and which hand I have the Kimura on. It doesn't matter, okay? Because you can't dictate which hand's gonna be on top. It may be the other hand, however he likes to grab. Sometimes they've had broken wrists and their arms don't bend really well, and they'll go backs of the palms, like back of the hand to the palm. Sometimes you'll get that. The important thing to remember is that however the grip comes together, it must separate that same way, okay? So and we're always looking at it in relation to this hand. This one doesn't really mean anything. Look at it in relation to this hand. Whichever side the hand is on, if you're gonna break with this one I'm telling you now, is the direction that I must go. So if this hand is on this side, then I need to break this direction. I need to go this way because that's how the hand comes apart. Now if he switches it, which way do I gotta go? I gotta go this direction. And we're just paying attention to the armbar hand. That's all we're looking at, okay? So we get here, we're not world level, black belts yet. We didn't finish it picture perfect right when we kick over. He's locked his hands up, now we're in this stalemate. So now I gotta start to deconstruct this. Which way do I gotta lay? Feet or head? Feet. He's telling me right here, but I've got this side. So here's how this has to work. Whichever side I'm going to, that hand has to go high and underneath that arm. Because what I wanna do, or underneath that grip, because what I wanna do is I wanna go that direction, I wanna strip it out. But I've got this arm already here, so that means I'm gonna have to do a switch. So I'm gonna stretch out, shoot, then I'm coming up underneath, didn't mean to catch your nose, sorry. Then I'm coming underneath, and I'm gonna lay this direction until it breaks, and then I'm gonna open everything up. Now when I break, I'm not breaking in I'm not going straight back. I'm gonna go this way, and then I'm sweeping the mat. So essentially, I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna sweep backwards. So his hand is this way, it's telling me I gotta go this way. Now let's just say for the sake of argument, my Kimura grip was locked up this side. Now it's even easier because all I gotta do is just shoot this hand underneath and I'm separating. Where it becomes a little bit problematic is if you were the other way. Okay, so I gotta stretch. I'm gonna go underneath the arm that's already there. I'm gonna come back to my Kimura grip, okay? And then I'm gonna shoot, and then we're gonna stretch this direction. And then as we break, all this is sliding down to the final grip of being right here. Thumb orientation should always be in the upward position, okay? We'll talk about breaking angles here in just a minute, right? Thumb orientation is up. So grip break number one, the Kimura grip. Shooting underneath this assembly right here so that I can put all the leverage against that grip, and I can start stretching out for the break, and then we're coming back down the middle to the finish. If it's on the other side, hand's gonna come through, coming this direction, we're gonna break to here. Whoops. Got it? Okay, so it's under here. Now, if you get down here, it's not gonna have the same effect. Try as best you can to get up underneath that whole assembly there so that you're putting the bite on the hand. All right. If it's too far over to the side, feel free to use your legs to curl him in so you can get to that and start stripping that grip out. You got it? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Grip, like the X grip, what does there have to be? There has to be opposing forces, torsional, right here. It's got to be stretching for this grip to be effective. If this grip is not stretching, it's no longer effective. It's rendered ineffective. So really what we need to look at here is figure out what grip they have, and like I said, deconstruct it, start breaking it down. make it a disqualifier grip, and it doesn't matter at that particular point. It always is. It's funny to me to watch, even at lower levels, people, kids especially too. We see this a lot. They'll go to this, or they'll be like this right here, and they're just ripping and gripping, man, trying to break this down. And they don't understand that this X grip, one of the beautiful things about the X grip is the harder we pull on it, what happens to the grip?
Tighter it gets.
It gets stronger, right? It's really wild how that's even possible. But if you separate the thumb from the finger and do that, the grip is nothing. But you put it like this, the more that you pull those elbows up, all that tightens, okay? Doesn't become about the fingers. Now it's just friction lock. So we break this down, make this a disqualifier for him. He can't use it. So something pretty simple. If we're in this Kimura grip and I hit my stretch and he's really, really locked in here tight, big, super strong guy, okay? What I can do here is I can bring my legs together and I can cross and I can curl everything into me. All I'm trying to do is bring the far side elbow close enough that it can get to this hand. Okay, because I'm still locked up like this. All right? And if you can't get to there, we can go to this. This is just fine too. So what I do is I go to like kind of an S mount. Sometimes the guys, you're a little bit shorter armed or you're shorter legged. Okay? Switch. So get to here. So I just fold everything inboard and I switch and I get to here. This elbow is now here to help me. So what I'm going to do is I stay on the elbow. Now I'm just going to lay back and watch what happens to the grip. It starts to break itself down and we just come this way. Doesn't really matter at that point how hard he holds because we're not putting that stretch into that grip to help it work. So if I can get to the far side, now the switch on the foot is kind of what messes everybody up. It's kind of hard to go toward the head. You can go toward the foot and you can bring all this up here and then you can catch. Now I've got one hand over the elbow, the other hand over the elbow, and as I start to lay back, this grip just starts to collapse on itself. Renders it useless. Can't do anything with it at this point.
Does it matter which hand's on top anymore? Because you're just going straight
Either
back.
hand, if I pull this elbow inside,
Okay.
it all just collapses in on itself. There's nothing that can be done. Okay? So he has to go to some other type of structure. And to be perfectly honest with you, every time I've done this, the best that they can generally get is they try to get into that T-Rex position really super quick. That's about the best they get. Boom, elbows in tight. But remember, if we've done our job, you know, we were originally here anyway. So I've got some stretch on this anyway. And as soon as this becomes accessible, I'm still stretching up on this. If he starts trying to bring his elbow underneath and inside, he's still kind of letting me have this entire structure right here to go ahead and finish. So far side grip, depending on which arm you're looped through, doesn't matter. If you're here, catch here. If you're here, catch here. Let's fold all this in across from us and let's tighten it up. Now this kind of goes into our backside armbar. We'll talk about this a little bit later. Coming up this direction and coming off over here. Okay, so we've got a backside we can hit as well. We'll cover that in the later class. All right, caving that elbow in across your body. Exactly where we're trying to go with it. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3.